Okay, we're going to be looking at lesson 2-9 today. So we're going to be working on percents, okay? So percents is anything out of 100, something out of 100. All right, so what we're going to start with is this is actually supposed to be a review from 8th grade, and some of you may even have seen it this summer, if in summer school. All right, so we have a percent proportion. So you can write equations and do some things like that, but since we're working on proportions right now, I like to go ahead and just teach us with proportions. So you might have seen something like is over of equals your percent out of 100. All right, so that would be like what I'm talking about when I say percent proportion. We're just going to solve these with proportions. So we're going to look at the first example here. Now it does say round to the nearest tenth. So keep in mind that's 2 decimal places. You will need to read directions about your rounding, okay? All right, so what percent, so again, I don't know the percent, of 56 is 42. So now when I look at something like this, is 42, it tells you exactly what the is of 56. So the word and the number will usually be connected. It doesn't always have to be in the back. Sometimes it might be in the front, but they're always connected. So when I'm looking at this guy, is 42, let's zoom in here real quick. So is 42 of 56. And we're trying to find out what percent is that. Okay, so now at this point, you just got a proportion, so you're going to go ahead and cross multiply. All right, so I'm going to take the 42 times the 100, drop it down and get 4,200. And then I'm going to take 56 times x and get 56x. So now I'm going to take that 4,200, divide by 56, and I end up with 75. And in this case, it is a percent, so we're going to put a percent sign there. So 75%. Okay, so now let's go to B, and B is just like A here, so I want you to go ahead and try this on your own. So we're going to pause the video and you try B on your own. All right, so setting up your proportion here. If you're looking at this, is 54 of 90. So is over of, so I have 54 over 90 equals what percent, I don't know, out of 100. Okay, so then you should have cross multiplied and got 5,400 equals, and then cross multiply this way and get 90x. So now you're going to take that 5,400, we're going to divide it by 90, and we're going to end up with 60% is what you should have got there. Okay, all right, let's go to C here. 125% of what number is 17.5? So now in this case, they actually give you a percent, 125%. Of what number? So the of is going to be our unknown. This is where our variable is going to, this is where our variable is going to go. This would be like where the x is going to go. And then if I'm looking at the next part here, it says is 17.5. All right, so let's go ahead and write our proportion here. So is over of. So 17.5 of what number I don't know yet, so is over of, equals 125%, and that's always out of 100. All right, so we're going to go ahead and cross multiply, and we're going to get, multiply the 17.5 times 100, 1,750 equals, go the other direction there, 125x. So now we're going to take the 1750, we're going to divide it by 125, and we're going to get x equals 14. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead, and I want you to try D on your own. It's just like C. So we're going to pause the video, and I want you to try this on your own. Okay, so when I'm looking at this, of what number? The of I still don't know is 12.5. So is, so 12.5 over of, I don't know, percent, 30% out of 100. All right, so then you should have cross multiplied and got 1,250 equals 30x, and then take that 1250, divide it by 30, and I get 41.666 because it's repeating. So if we're rounding to the nearest hundredth, that means we're going to go 2 decimal places, okay? So in this case, that would be 41.6. The 6 is going to round up to a 7. So 41.67 is what you should have got. All right, let's look at E here. What is 25% of 152? Okay, so the what is, we actually don't know the is part here because this guy is our percent. Okay, so that has to go over 100 of 152. So I write my proportion here is, I don't know, oops, over of 152 equals 25% out of 100. So again, we're going to go ahead and cross multiply. Take 100 times x and get 100x. I've got 152 times 25. And I end up with 3,800. So then I divide by the 100 and I end up with 38. So what this is saying is 38 is a 25% of 152. Okay? All right. So why don't you go ahead and try F on your own. We're going to go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so what is, I don't know the is, so is over of x over 85 equals your percent, so 72% out of 100 is what your setup should have been. So now cross multiply that, and you're going to get 100x equals, and then we're going to take 85 times the 72 there, and we're going to get 6,120. We're going to divide by the 100 there and get 61.2. 61.2. All right, one of the other things we're going to pick up is when we put things on sale, like discounted things, or maybe if we mark up. Also, commission could be included in here, as long as sales tax. So we're going to kind of look at some different types of percent problems that are actually we would see in the real world now, okay? So a dress shirt that normally costs $38.50 is on sale for 30% off. What is the sales price of the shirt? So in other words, they want to know what are you going to pay for the shirt when you get that 30% off? That's really where we're going here with this. Now, when we're looking at this, you probably were taught this at some point during junior high, okay? So there's a lot of right ways to do this, so I'm going to show you one way to do it. And then if you have a different method that you would rather use, that's okay, as long as you're getting the right answers, okay? So we're going to take 30% of the 38.50. So remember, of just means multiply, right? So 38.50 of, we want 30% of that. Now, notice how I put 0.30. So remember, percentages, you've got to move it over 2 spots because technically it is saying 30 out of 100. Percents are always out of 100, all right? So if you actually take 30 divided by 100 on your calculator, you get 0.30 or 0.3, or you can just choose to move the decimal 2 spots over. But that's all that's really going on. So when we move it 2 over, we're really just dividing by 100, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and figure out what this is. So 38.5 times 0.3, we end up with $11.55. Now, since this is on sale, we're going to take that amount off, right? So originally it was $38.50. And we're taking off the $11.55. So $38.50 minus $11.55, and we end up with $26.95. And then we're going to put a dollar sign there since we're talking money. Okay? So there's going to be kind of 2 steps here. You're going to, first off, multiply by the decimal. Notice I'm saying decimal, not percent, right? Because it's out of 100. So we're going to multiply. And then at this step, the second step, you're either going to add or subtract. It just depends on the problem. If it's on sale, we subtract. Okay? So 2 steps. Multiply and then add or subtract. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next page. All right, so in example 3 here, it says, an iPhone is selling for $750, has a sales tax of 7%. How much will you pay for the phone? Okay, so again, it's the same type of setup here. We've got something on sale for $750. So $750 times, again, remember that this is saying 7 out of 100 or just 0.07. Again, you can just move. I'm struggling on this writing, aren't I? Here, let's try this again. Oh, I erased all of it? let's undo that. Sorry, guys. All right, so let's do just 0.07. So 750 times 0.07, and we get 52.50, okay? And then since this was sales tax gets added on, right? So 52.50 plus the 750. So we end up with 802.50 is what you would pay for that iPhone. And then put a dollar sign on it. Okay, all right, we're going to skip example number 4 right now, and then we're going to move on now to example 5 and 6. So this is called simple interest formula. And the most kind of basic thought of a simple interest formula is if any of you guys have a savings account, okay, you would know that they probably, when you put in money, okay, so you're like, I'm putting money into this bank, and so you get to pick the bank, and then the bank pays you a very small amount of money to keep your money at that bank. So an example, not an example, but for simple interest, we have a formula. It's I equals PRT. Okay, I'll start with kind of the easier ones. T would be your time. And we're talking in years here. Okay. R would be your rate. Okay. Now, the I and the P, the I is your interest. So that's how much the bank is going to pay for you to keep your money at their bank. That's what the interest is. So this is how much money they're going to pay you. All right. This P here is known as principal. Okay. Oh. I actually misspelled that. Let's do LE there. There we go. Principal, okay? And on the principal, that would be like your starting amount. So starting amount, okay? Now, when I say that, that's the same thing. I'm going to kind of show you here. Starting amount is the same thing as when you deposit something. So that's how much you're putting in the bank. Principal is like your starting amount. Okay. All right. So what you're going to do is you're just going to read through these problems and you're going to figure out what your I, your P, your R, and your T are. Now, in every case, though, you will have something that we don't know. There's always something we're finding. So this is how much interest. So we will not put any numbers in for I, right? Because we need to find I. So we know that to start off with, we're going to go ahead and have I equals. All right. So now you deposited. So this guy right here, you deposited $840. That is your P amount. That's your principal. That's your starting amount. So $840 times your rate. So now here is your rate over here. Now, be careful though. Remember, we got to move that decimal 2 spots over. So we go 1, 2. So we have 0.045. Again, it's 4.5 out of 100. And then time, in this case, they tell you it is 4 years. Okay, so now you're just going to put that in your calculator. So 840 times 0.045 times 4. And your interest is $151.20. Now, I do expect, because we're working money, I expect 2 decimal places, okay? So if it gives you, just your calculator doesn't give you this part, and it just says 0.2, just make sure you tack on the 0. Now, what this is saying is interest. This is how much the bank is paying you. If you keep it in for 4 years and you start with $180 or $840. So if you deposit $840 and don't touch it for 4 years, they're going to pay you $151 over those 4 years. So in actuality, you're going to have close to $1,000 in your savings account at that point. Okay? All right, let's try it again. You deposited $125 in the savings account. All right, so right off the bat here, deposited $125. Hopefully we know that that's going to be our P, right? That's our principal. In a savings account that earns a simple interest rate of 1.75%, so we know that simple interest right there, that's going to be our rate. Okay, so there's your R amount. Per year, you earn a total of $875 in interest. So this is your I amount. The question is, how long? How long? Well, I don't know how long. That's going to be my time. That's what I'm looking for there. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead. I is 875 equals my principal, 125. My rate, now move that decimal 2 spots over, so 0.0175. And how long? We don't know yet, so put your t there. Now, this is an equation. You're actually going to have to solve this. First thing you're going to want to do, though, is we're going to want to take that 125 times the 0.0175. So if that's the first thing we're going to do, so 0.0175 there, let's see. So I ended up with 875 equals, now I'm not going to round this. I'm going to wait till the end to round, because if you round early, your answer won't be right. So go ahead and put the exact answer down, whatever you get. Now, to solve it, right, we're going to have to divide by 2.1875 on both sides. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that in our calculators. We got 8.75 divided by 2.1875. So we end up with 4. So 4 years. Okay, so let's think about what this means real quick. You deposited $125 for 4 years, and they gave you a total of $8.75. Not near as high paying as the example up above. Okay, all right, that concludes 2-9 notes.